My name is Joe Cross. I live in South Manchester area. Been training now, training for 6-7 years, but competing since 2016. That was when I did my first competition. So I was 18 years old when I did my first competition, and now I'm 23 years old. So it kind of started a few weights in my shed at 16, and then people saying, oh, you're getting a little bigger. I think it was when I started full-time work, which was at 18. I got a bit more routine, structure, moved away from the college lifestyle. And in a sense, when you move away from that lifestyle, the structure is what defines bodybuilding. It's the regimented, you don't see results in weeks, it's just being monotonous and every day repeating the same stuff. Even if you don't see results, you just gotta trust the process and stick to it. Training wise, it was a bodybuilding split. So it was chest one day, arms and necks, back one day, shoulders. And how that differs to now how I train is completely worlds apart.
Oh, really?
Because for me, when you start researching into it, obviously protein synthesis only lasts 48 hours. So if you are looking into training techniques, if you train chest on a Monday, probably by Wednesday, Thursday, depending on how you've trained it, you could go again and hit it again, and then probably again. So you could 2 to 3 times a week, you could hit that muscle, which is over the year, that's 2 to 3 times more growth in my eyes. So as soon as protein synthesis basically comes back to baseline, I want to be hitting that muscle again to make it grow.
Definitely.
So that's kind of, then I moved across to like a push-pull legs sort of split.
Yeah, so for me on pretty much any exercise, it's always a slow eccentric. So you probably see on my reps, it's like a 3-second coming down. And then for me, I like dead stopping at the bottom, so I'll come to a complete pause and then I'll go again. It just takes any of the momentum out. And for me, that's actually a big thing in injury prevention. If you're stopping at the bottom, a lot of people get injured from bouncing out the bottom, and it's almost the elasticity on the tendon when you're coming out the bottom. If you dead stop and then go, you are moving the muscle. The only thing moving that weight is the muscle. And then the positive phase, so the concentric, that's as fast as you can, that's explosive. So explosive up, 3-second down, pause, explosive up, slow down. That's usually, it's kind of a standard on pretty much every compound exercise.
How I program things is I have 2 rotations for each. This is kind of what Jamie's drilled into me. So I have 2 rotations of push, 2 of pull and 2 of legs. And they all have a different focus. So I have a push day 1, which is a chest focus, a push day 2, which is shoulder focus, and then a pull thickness day and a pull width day, and then a legs day, which is hamstring, and then a quad one. So we're kind of always getting a different focus. But the mistake a lot of people, for me, would make is they repeat exercises every week.
Right.
So you've got one workout, you go in, you see it all the time, people, right, I'm flat benching. I want to get my flat bench, or I'll flat bench today. Next chest session, flat bench, or squat, I want to get my squat. They do the same things in the same order. And for me, if you're only doing that every week or so, you're not really giving your body a chance to recover and gain strength, and you just end up plateauing. But what you're not forgetting is if you're doing 2 push sessions, they're always complement each other. Even though you're not doing flat bench or you're doing incline dumbbell, they're always going to support each other. You're always going to be getting stronger. So by the time you come back to it, it might be 10 days since your last flat bench, but you're more likely to go up.
Right.
So progressive overload is kind of, for me, the absolute fundamental to growing in training. Logging your numbers, making sure you beat them.
Yeah, so I don't write down all my logbook numbers. I've literally got all the sessions noted and then my numbers on each side.
So you say it on your phone rather than a traditional notepad and pen?
Yeah, I'm not so traditional in that sense. I don't want to be pen and paper in the gym.
So in terms of programming, push workout would be, so chest dominant would be a chest press, a shoulder press, and then a weighted dip. Because push is chest, shoulders, triceps. So get the compounds out of the way, and then I go into a chest fly, a shoulder isolation, like a standing sideways, something like that, and then I do tricep isolation. So I'd work through my compounds first when I got the most energy, and then I go across to the isolation. But like I said, there's a slightly less volume in that one workout compared to doing a full chest or a full arm session. but there's so much crossover, you'll feel it the next day.
Yeah.
And it means you can then do it twice in a week,
Yeah.
which for me is a lot more beneficial, like I said. But what I will say with that is, if you're only doing one chest compound or one shoulder, you've got to take them sets to the death. Like you can't half a set. You've got to take it all the way there to make sure you're actually doing the damage. Some sets might be like a rest pause. So you'll hit as many as you can. You'll rack it, you count to 10. Hit as many as you can on the same weight, count to 10. Hit as many on the same weight, and that's one set. So you've got to just make sure them sets count. But in my head, if I've only got one chance to hit a squat that week, and I'm not doing it again for 10 days, you've got to switch on your mindset, and you've got to hit that set. Otherwise, if you flump it, it's another 10 days before I can do it, and that's kind of the mindset I go in with.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're doing squats, you've got 4 sets to, half-ass do it. Oh, I'm doing them again next week. It doesn't really matter if I don't hit my numbers.
Yeah.
It's so yeah, mindset plays a massive role in training.
So the peak of last year's off season, when I used to do a shoulder focused push day, I'd start with dumbbell press and I progressed them up to 16 reps top set. So now I have to put a chest press before them, otherwise they're just too light. But yeah, trust me, a 50 after a chest press feels like a 60 or a 65. Yeah.
I know people have got different approaches that you shouldn't always go to failure every session because you're central nervous system and stuff, but in my head, I know where failure is and I know how hard it is. And I will always push for that last rep. No matter if I can't hit it, I'll always go for it.
Right.
So like all out failure for me is, yeah. And that's kind of, push-pull legs needs that. Because it's such low volume approach, you need to take them sets there.
Yeah.
So for a beginner, I mean, I only do 2 working sets per exercise as well. So I'll do a heavy loading set and then a back off.
Yeah.
And then I'll move on. So it's still only 2 sets of chest press. But obviously for someone that's, not saying I'm really advanced, but for someone that can't take the sets there, if I was programming a session for them, you'd probably do like 4 sets to make sure they get the most out of it. But the more advanced you get, you'd think you'd need more volume, but it's actually the opposite because you can create such damage in such short sets. And it's also the same with the amount of training days. The more advanced I've got, the more rest days I need because I'm battering myself that much.
So obviously you're wearing a hoodie.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I always wear hoodies.
Do you?
You'll never catch me in a vest.
No?
Never.
I think if I had arms like yours, I'd be wearing vests to work, mate.
No. When I wear a vest, it sounds ridiculous, but I just end up looking at myself and I think I only see things that I need to improve. So training is just a time not to even think about what I look like and just get on with it and train hard. So I mean, I got a t-shirt underneath, but I'll never really train a vest. Not unless I'm in like peak week or the week after show. That's about it. 2 weeks of the year.
I don't know if you know it, Trained by JP's website.
Yeah.
So Jordan Peters. That is a ridiculous source of knowledge for like,
Really?
It's like $6.99, $7.99 a month.
Wow.
It is unbelievable. So it covers absolutely everything you could want to know about bodybuilding.
Really?
Training, nutrition, supplementation. I mean, that has got a forum section with everything. But then it's also got educators on the site. So it's got like Dr. Dean, who's like a PhD doctor.
Yeah.
There's Hilly, who's also like very clued up. Got all sorts of nutrition, exercise degrees. So you ask any question on there, you're getting it back from a reputable source.
Yeah.
And then also like Jordan and all the rest of the team, they'll post training videos. And he also does videos on the subjects of all drugs, steroids and everything. So that is probably the biggest thing that you don't want to be reading forums online because people don't have a clue what they're on about. Unfortunately enough, he's come out with a source that he puts videos out and it's based on research and it's based on, he's had thousands of clients. It's not just theoretical, it's applied as well.
Yeah.
So he puts out what you should actually take for your first cycle. Second cycle, what does this drug do? What's the dosage? He's done a video on almost every drug you should take.
Wow.
Well, you know, should take, but could take in the sport.
Yeah.
But actual dosages, timings, how to take it. So if you're gonna take that decision and that step to go down that route, it's invaluable for me.
So yeah, we'll do a single drop set here, and then there's quite a good technique that I do where once I've failed on body weight, I'll jump up, and then I'll do the negative, and then I'll jump up again, and I'll just extend the negatives by like 3 to 5 reps. Because you've always got more negatives because it's a stronger movement. So coming in the eccentric phase, you're always stronger than you are in the positive. So I'm basically fucking myself in both phases.
That's a technical term, yeah?
Yeah, technical term.
Yeah.
Best way to describe it.
So yeah, when I competed in 2016, so looking at 3 years ago, it was the off season prior to that, so probably 3.5 years ago, I decided to take that route. Luckily enough, looking back, I didn't actually do anything stupid. Because I know you see people now and they say, looking back, I completely did something ridiculous, and now I know what to actually do. It was stupid, but luckily enough at the time, I had people around me that I could kind of trust. I didn't have anything like the site or anything like that, but I had people that I knew wouldn't fob me off, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing, but now obviously you've got better sources to follow. Looking back, I probably didn't have enough information to hand to actually do it.
Right.
But it comes hand in hand with competing. Unfortunately, that's the nature of the sport. Obviously, there is natural federations, but the look I want to achieve, you have to take it.
Yeah.
But I mean, what I would say is, unless you were going to do it competitively, I probably wouldn't take the risk.
Yeah, it's just to increase blood flow to the muscle. And I think like a stretch under tension like that, especially supersetted, it's good for injury prevention. So you're obviously holding the stretch portion. So a lot of people always say to me, how do you have such good range of motion in like your shoulders and stuff like that? So when I shoulder press, I've got no issue coming right to the bottom. The same with chest, I've got quite a good stretch. So I find on most muscle groups, I'll either superset it with an isolation or at the very end, like I'll do a weighted pull-up and I'll just hang and just let the lat stretch. So I just think it increases blood flow, but it's stretching under tension. So you're just really exaggerating the stretch portion.
Bodybuilding is longevity, isn't it? It's the best bodybuilders are who can do the same stuff every day for as long as they can.
Yeah.
If I could do what I'm doing now for the next 20 years, 25 years, I'll probably be on the Olympia stage.
Yeah.
But injuries come, health problems come, fucking normal life issues. And obviously the motivation. Who wants to do it for that long?
Yeah.
No, so I'm going to do a set of strict reps. So kind of the form I've been doing on everything else. And then I'll do a rest pause, but on my rest pause I won't move the weight or drop it, but I'll go into cheat reps. So I just wanted to clarify that, because it'll look like I'm doing horrendous form, but it is for a purpose. It's momentum, it's almost like a self-spot, just to get a bit of momentum, just to drive it down, and it fucking hurts the triceps, so it works. It might look stupid, but it does work.
One piece of advice is don't waste time. Don't waste the amount of, like I said, the amount of years I wasted doing things half-heartedly with nutrition, training, all the rest of it. Just either pay for a coach, or it's hard to do the level of research that you need. The coach is probably the best investment you could make, because for me, if you spend the first 2 to 3 years, you're still paying for your gym membership, you're paying for all your supplements, you're paying for your nutrition. Yeah, a coach might be, 50, 100, 150, depending on the ability of the coach. It is a big investment, but it saves you so much time in the long run. So realistically, for me, time is everything. If I could rewind to like 17, if I had a coach then and I knew what I knew now, I know it's always like, in hindsight, looking back, all the rest of it, but if I could have been as efficient as I am now from 17, God knows where I'd be now. If I had 6 years of being like I am now. So yeah, if you got the knowledge and the training bang on from day one, you'd grow that so much faster, and you'd progress so much faster.
like the people I follow on Instagram are people I can like learn from and take good things away. So that's kind of the aim, to be fair, for next year, to maybe not a vlog, but just trying to put more media out there that's actually of benefit to people and not just a picture with a shitty caption that means nothing.
Yeah. So valuable content rather than just inspiration.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, valuable. Because to be fair, like not in a big-headed way or anything, but a lot of people have said to me recently, like, I do have a lot of knowledge that I probably don't realise that I have, because I surround myself with people that are very knowledgeable, and I kind of think my knowledge is probably irrelevant, but to the vast majority of people, it's probably of like, actually some value.
It depends if they share it as well.
Well, yeah, exactly. So, yeah.